In the dim glow of a rainy city street, where puddles reflected the flickering neon signs like shattered dreams, a young woman named Elara stood trembling under a leaky awning. Her voice barely rose above the patter of rain as she whispered to the tall stranger beside her, "Pretend to hug me, please." Little did she know, that simple plea would unravel a life of hardship and weave it into something extraordinary. But wait, imagine this, years later, Elara stands on a sun-drenched balcony overlooking the ocean, her hand clasped in that same stranger's, whispering, "I never knew a hug could change everything." How did she get there? Stick around, because this story of heartbreak, hope, and hidden fortunes will pull at your heartstrings and remind you that miracles hide in the most unexpected places. If it moves you, hit that like button and subscribe for more tales that prove kindness can rewrite destinies. Your support keeps these stories coming. Elara's life had been a relentless storm long before that rainy night. Born in a cramped apartment on the outskirts of New York City, she was the only child of a single mother who worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. Her father had vanished when she was 5, leaving behind nothing but faded photographs and a hole in her heart that no amount of love could fill. By the time Elara turned 18, her mother, Lila, had been diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disease that drained their savings like water through a sieve. Medical bills piled up, eviction notices became routine, and Elara dropped out of community college to take on whatever odd jobs she could find, waitressing at a dingy diner by day, delivering groceries by night. She was 22 now, with eyes that held the weight of someone twice her age, her once vibrant auburn hair tied back in a practical ponytail, and clothes mended so many times they whispered tales of survival. That fateful evening, the rain had come down in sheets, turning the bustling streets into rivers of despair. Elara was on her way home from a double shift, her thin jacket soaked through, when she spotted him, a man in an expensive overcoat, standing awkwardly under the same awning as if the weather had caught him off guard. He was tall, with sharp features softened by a day's stubble, and eyes that seemed to scan the world with quiet intensity. His name was Alexander Voss, though she wouldn't learn that until much later. To the world, he was the elusive billionaire CEO of Vostech, a tech empire that revolutionized renewable energy and made him one of the richest men under 40. But on this night, he was just a stranger trying to escape the downpour after a late meeting, his usual entourage dismissed for a rare moment of solitude. What prompted Elara's desperate request? It wasn't random. Across the street, lurking in the shadows of a dimly lit alley, was her ex-boyfriend, Jax. He'd been harassing her for months after their breakup, showing up unannounced, sending threatening texts, convinced she owed him another chance. Tonight, he'd followed her from the diner, his silhouette unmistakable even through the rain. Panic surged through her as she saw him edging closer, phone in hand, ready to confront her. With no one else around, Elara turned to the stranger, her voice cracking. "Please, just pretend to hug me. There's someone, he's been following me. Act like we're together, just for a minute." Alexander hesitated for a split second, his brow furrowing in surprise. He'd built his fortune on calculated risks, but this was different, raw, human. Something in her eyes, a mix of fear and quiet strength, stirred a long-buried empathy in him. Without a word, he stepped closer, wrapping his arms around her in a gentle, protective embrace. The scent of his cologne, subtle, like sandalwood and fresh rain, mingled with the dampness of her clothes. To any onlooker, they looked like lovers caught in a tender moment. Jax paused, his face twisting in jealousy, before slinking away into the night. As the rain eased, Elara pulled back, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "Thank you," she murmured, avoiding his gaze. "I didn't mean to drag you into my mess. I'm Elara, by the way." "Alexander," he replied, his voice deep and steady. He noticed the way her hands trembled, not just from the cold, but from exhaustion. "Are you okay? That guy, should I call the police?" She shook her head quickly. "No, it's fine. He's just persistent. I'll handle it." But her words rang hollow even to her. Truth was, Jax had escalated lately, and with her mother's health deteriorating, Elara couldn't afford more drama. She forced a smile. Thanks again. You probably saved me from a bad night. Alexander watched her start to walk away, her steps heavy with unspoken burdens. Something compelled him to call out, "Wait. Let me at least walk you home. It's still pouring." She paused, weighing the risk. He seemed genuine, not like the creeps she'd encountered before. "Okay," she said softly. But only to the subway station. Their walk turned into an unexpected conversation. Elara, usually guarded, found herself opening up under the rhythm of the rain. She spoke of her mother's illness, the endless bills, her dreams of becoming a nurse deferred by reality. Alexander listened intently, sharing little about himself, only that he was in tech, traveling often. He didn't mention the private jets or boardrooms. Instead, he talked about his own losses, how his parents had died young, leaving him to build everything from scratch. By the time they reached the station, a fragile connection had formed. Days turned into weeks, and Alexander couldn't shake the encounter. He used his resources discreetly to learn more about Elara, not invasively, but enough to confirm her struggles were real. Her mother needed experimental treatment not covered by insurance, and they were on the brink of homelessness. Meanwhile, Elara faced her own battles. Jax's harassment intensified, culminating in a terrifying incident where he showed up at her workplace, smashing a glass in rage. She filed a restraining order, but the fear lingered like a shadow. One evening, as Elara left the diner, she found Alexander waiting outside, leaning against a sleek black car. "I hope this isn't creepy," he said with a sheepish smile, "but I couldn't stop thinking about that night." "How about coffee?" "My treat." Skeptical but intrigued, she agreed. Over steaming mugs in a quiet cafe, he revealed more about himself, still downplaying his wealth. "I run a company," he said vaguely. "It keeps me busy, but lonely." Elara shared her fears about her mother's worsening condition. Doctors had given Lila months without better care. Tears welled in her eyes as she confessed, "I feel like I'm failing her. Every day, I scrape by, but it's never enough." Alexander's heart ached. He'd amassed billions innovating solar tech, but what good was it if it didn't help people like her? That night, he made a decision. Anonymously, he arranged for Lila's treatment through a charity foundation he controlled, covering all costs. When Elara received the call from the hospital, she collapsed in relief, sobbing with joy. "It's a miracle," she told her mother, who squeezed her hand weakly. "Someone out there believes in us." But challenges mounted. Jax violated the restraining order, breaking into their apartment one night while Elara was at work. He trashed the place, leaving threatening notes. Terrified, Lila suffered a panic-induced flare-up, landing her in the ER. Elara, arriving home to the chaos, broke down completely. In her desperation, she texted Alexander, the only person who'd shown her kindness lately. "I don't know what to do," she wrote. He arrived within the hour, his face etched with concern. Seeing the destruction, he insisted on helping. "You can't stay here. Let me get you a safe place." For the first time, he hinted at his means, arranging a secure hotel suite for them. As they packed what little they had, Elara confronted him. "Who are you, really? No one does this without a reason." Alexander sighed, sitting on the edge of the bed. "I'm not just some guy in tech. I own Vostech. I'm, well, wealthy. Very wealthy. But that doesn't define me. I saw myself in you that night, someone fighting alone. I lost my family young, and I built an empire to prove I could survive. But money doesn't heal loneliness. Helping you, it feels right." Elara stared, processing the revelation. Part of her felt betrayed by the omission, but his sincerity shone through. "Why me?" she whispered. "Because your hug that night wasn't pretend for me," he admitted. "It woke something up. Let me help, not out of pity, but partnership. Their bond deepened amid the turmoil. Alexander hired security to deal with Jax, who was arrested after evidence from Vosteka's investigators proved his stalking. With Lila's treatment underway, her health improved dramatically, color returned to her cheeks, and she began walking without aid. Elara, freed from constant worry, revisited her dreams. Alexander encouraged her, funding her nursing school tuition anonymously at first, then openly as they grew closer. But not everything was smooth. Elara grappled with the power imbalance. "I don't want to be a charity case," she told him one evening, as they walked through Central Park. Leaves crunched underfoot, autumn painting the world in gold. "I need to stand on my own." Alexander nodded, respecting her independence. "You're not. You're strong, Elara. I'm just accelerating things. Like investing in the best startup, you." Romantic tension simmered. Their first real kiss happened under a starry sky, after a charity gala where Alexander introduced her as his date. She wore a gown he'd gifted, feeling like Cinderella, but grounded by her resolve. "This changes everything," she said, pulling him close. Yet, doubts crept in. Tabloids caught wind of their relationship, splashing headlines, "Billionaire's mystery girl, rags to riches?" Elara faced scrutiny, friends accused her of gold digging, strangers whispered. Her self-worth plummeted. "Am I just a project to you?" she confronted him during a heated argument. Alexander, hurt but understanding, shared his vulnerabilities. "I was orphaned at 15, fostered around, built Vostek from a garage invention. Wealth isolated me, people see the money, not the man. With you, it's real. You hugged a stranger, not a billionaire." Their reconciliation was profound. Elara graduated nursing school top of her class, securing a job at a prestigious hospital. Lila, fully recovered, moved into a cozy home Alexander helped purchase, but Elara insisted on contributing payments. Together, they founded a foundation for single mothers facing medical crises, turning personal pain into purpose. Years passed, blending challenges with triumphs. Jax faded into irrelevance, serving time. Elara and Alexander married in an intimate ceremony, her in a simple dress, him beaming with pride. They welcomed a daughter, naming her Hope, symbolizing their journey. Now, standing on that ocean balcony, Elara reflects, from a pretend hug to a life transformed. The inspiring message? Kindness isn't about wealth, it's about seeing someone struggle and choosing to stand with them. One act can spark a chain reaction, turning strangers into saviors, poverty into possibility. If this story touched you, remember, your hug, your word, could change a life. Like and subscribe to hear more, because every view supports spreading hope. Who knows? Your next encounter might be the start of something extraordinary.